Hello everyone, I'm Amia Amnaida binti Hamid from the KMK English Language Unit, and today we are going to talk about Muet Speaking Part 1, the individual task. Now, are you one of those students who freezes up the moment the examiner says, "Candidate, you may begin"? So if that sounds like you, stay with me because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to plan, speak, and present well in Muet Part 1. I believe by now most of you already know the format for Muet Speaking Part 1, but just in case you've forgotten, let's do a quick recap. Now for Muet Speaking, usually you'll be in a group of 4. In Part 1, all 4 candidates will be given the same situation, but each of you will receive a different task based on the situation. We'll use this situation as an example. Social media is very popular nowadays. Why do you like using social media? Now, please bear in mind that this is not the task yet. The same situation applies to all 4 candidates. However, your specific task will be highlighted in bold, so it's important to read carefully and understand exactly what you need to talk about. Now, in this instance, candidate A needs to talk about connecting with people. Candidate B talk about sharing information. C talk about entertainment, while candidate D talk about making money. So even though your tasks are different, they are all connected to the same topic. Again, focus on your task, which is in bold. If you only address the situation in general, you might lose a lot of marks in terms of fulfilling your task. So how should you begin your presentation? So in my class, I always get this question from my students. Madam, do we really need to greet first or can we just start talking? Well, think about it. The examiners and other candidates are already there, right? So it's always nice to acknowledge them with a simple greeting before you start. It shows that you respect them and helps you start the speech on a positive note. You may start with a simple greeting like, "Good day, everyone," or "Good day to the examiners and my fellow candidates." And after that, go straight to your main point. Many students make the mistake of spending too much time talking about the situation. For example, by defining what social media is. Now, I would advise you not to do this. In such a short time, giving definitions can be risky, especially if you're unsure of the right vocabulary or phrasing. Instead, focus directly on your assigned task and begin sharing your main idea right away. For example, "Good day, everyone. Today, I will be talking about the reason why I use social media, which is to connect with people." So that's if you are candidate A. If you are other candidate, you can say, "Good day to the examiner and my fellow candidates. Today, I'll talk about why I use social media specifically for entertainment." Now that you understand how the questions work and how to start or begin your presentation, let's talk about what you should do during those 2 minutes of preparation. You do know that you have 2 minutes for preparation, right? Now, in the 2 minutes, you need to know that you cannot talk to anyone. You need to focus on your task. Now, I know 2 minutes might sound short, but if you plan it well, it's more than enough to organize a strong answer. Now, here's a simple structure you can follow. I call it the PRE strategy, which stands for point, reason, and example. For point or P, you can start by clearly stating what you think. For example, "I believe people use social media mainly to connect with others." Now, for reason or R, you give your reason to support that point. For example, "This is because social media makes it easier for people to stay in touch with friends and family, even if they live far away." And as for E, which is example, finally, add a short explanation or example. You can say something like, for instance, many people use WhatsApp or Instagram to chat with loved ones and share updates and maintain relationships despite their busy schedules. And that's it, the PRE strategy or method, if you want to call it. Point, reason, and example. Simple, clear, and effective. But madam, I think it's too short lah, madam. So if you think it's too short, you can add depth or elaborate more by having comparison and repercussion. So for comparison, you can compare your point with another idea to make it stronger. For example, compared to phone calls or letters, social media allows instant communication and a wider reach. And as for repercussion, you can talk about what might happen if your point is ignored. For example, without social media, many people might lose touch with old friends or feel disconnected from their community. And that's it. PRE, point, reason, example. And if possible, add a comparison and repercussion to make your answer sound more complete and thoughtful. Remember, you need to tie your points to your specific task, not just the general situation. When your points are directly linked to your task, your response will sound more focused and relevant, which helps you score higher in the test. When you are planning, try to come up with 2 or 3 strong points and jot them down quickly. That's usually enough to fill your 2 minutes of speaking time. So this is a complete answer using the elaboration technique I just mentioned. Good day, everyone. Today, I will be talking about the reason why people use social media, which is to connect with people. To start things off, I use social media mainly to connect with families and friends. This is because my parents and my siblings live far away, or they live far apart due to work, study, and other commitments. And with social media, it makes communication easier and faster. For example, I can contact my family via WhatsApp, call, or text and keep in touch by checking each other's updates in Facebook or Instagram status. Compared to traditional ways like writing letters or making expensive international phone calls, social media is instant, convenient, and some are even free. Without social media, families might lose regular contact and feel distant from one another over time. Other than that, I also enjoy using social media to make new connections and expand my social circle. It allows me to meet people who share similar interests, hobbies, or goals from all around the world. For instance, I love photography, so I join online photography groups or on Telegram to share ideas and learn new techniques from others. Compared to real life, it is much easier to find people with the same interests online because distance and time are no longer barriers. I'm also a bit introverted, so I don't really do well in face-to-face conversation. So social media is really useful in this sense. Without it, I might not be able to have useful sharing sessions from people all over the world. So in conclusion, I like using social media mainly because it helps me stay close to family and friends and connect with new people who share the same interests. So that's it. A sample answer. It might go over 2 minutes because it's just a sample answer. And for all the points I mentioned just now, I usually jot them down as short bullet points or in a simple mind map. Since you only have 2 minutes to prepare, it's almost impossible to write full sentences. And that's why you need to train yourself to speak and elaborate by looking at brief notes like this. Now, if you notice, I only gave 2 main points just now, but with detailed elaboration. You can choose to give 3 main points if you prefer, but in that case, keep your elaboration shorter and more focused. Don't worry too much about going over the time limit. The examiner will stop you once your 2 minutes are up. What matters most is that you use your time effectively. Try to minimize filter words like or you know. The less you pause unnecessarily, the more smoothly you can express your ideas and cover at least 2 solid points before the time is up. Now, in the sample I gave just now, did you notice how I connect and present my ideas? Now, how do you know I presented 2 main points? Yep, you're right. It's because I use connectors or linkers or cohesive device. One of the easiest ways to improve your fluency and coherence is by using connectors, short phrases that link your ideas naturally. Think of connectors as bridges that guide your listener from one idea to another. Now, keep in mind that examiners are also human. They listen to lots of students one after another, and that's why it really helps when your speech is well organized and connected using cohesive devices or linkers. It keeps your message clear and easy to follow. You can start your response with these phrases. And to add ideas, you can say besides that, moreover, another reason is, in addition, not only that. You can also give examples using these words. For example, for instance, such as, like, a good example is, so you can refer to your, I think, reference book for all the linkers or cohesive device. And to compare or contrast the ideas, you can use these phrases. To show results or consequences, you can use these phrases. And to conclude your response, you can use these phrases. Using connectors help your speech sound more natural, logical, and confident. Exactly what examiners love to hear. Now, in the next part of the video, we will talk about how to sound confident and natural, not memorized during your test. All right, now that you know what to say, let's talk about how to say it. Many students worry about sounding nervous or robotic during the MUAT speaking test. But here's the truth. Examiners are not looking for perfection. They are looking for clarity, confidence, and a natural flow of speech. And worry not, we're not looking for English like the Harry Potter English. It's not the Queen English that we're looking for. It's okay if you speak naturally just the way you are. You don't have to rush. Take your time to pronounce your words clearly. A calm, steady pace sounds far more confident than speaking too fast. Instead of saying everything in one breath, pause slightly after each idea. It gives your speech rhythm and confidence. If you are the kind of person who often says or while speaking, then you need to practice pausing. A short pause sounds much better than filling the silence with sorry. Think about it. If I kept saying and in this video, would you want to keep listening? Would I sound convincing to you? Probably not. So whenever you are searching for the right word, pause instead. Take a quick breath, think, and continue. This simple habit makes you sound more confident and in control. Of course, this doesn't happen overnight. speaking confidently is a skill, and like any other skill, it takes practice and consistency to improve. Even I stutter, so what? So just move on and keep practicing. Now, when you speak, look at your examiner and your fellow candidates, not at your notes the whole time. Eye contact shows confidence and helps you connect with your listeners. You can also use light hand gestures to emphasize your point. Just keep them natural, not exaggerated. And you might want to vary your tone and intonation. Avoid speaking in a flat or monotone voice. It can make even good ideas sound out. So, do you like me speaking like that in monotonous way? So, emphasize your keywords or phrases to show emotion and conviction. Now, it's okay to prepare ideas and phrases, but avoid memorizing your full script because memorized answers often sound stiff and unnatural. Instead, practice thinking in English. Try speaking spontaneously about simple topics like your daily routine or your favorite food, just to get comfortable forming sentences naturally. And remember, your attitude can be heard in your voice. So smile when you speak. It instantly changes your tone and makes you sound more approachable and confident. Imagine if I speak to you like this. Do I sound approachable? So smile. So even if you are nervous or you feel nervous, pretend that you are explaining your idea to a friend. That simple shift can make a huge difference. So let's recap what we have covered today. In part one of the MUAT speaking test, your goal is to focus on your task, plan your ideas using the PRE strategy, and strengthen them with clear elaboration through comparisons or repercussions. You can use connectors, or you might want to use connectors to link your ideas smoothly and, most importantly, deliver your speech with clarity, confidence, and positive energy. Remember, fluency doesn't mean perfection. It means sounding natural, organized, and confident in expressing your thoughts. Now, with practice and the right mindset, you'll not only impress your examiners but also enjoy speaking English more comfortably. Thank you for watching and all the best in your MUAT speaking test. Now, stay tuned for part 2, which will be presented by Madam Nur Nazlin. Bye bye, everyone.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and very good morning everyone. So today let's move to task 2 for Muet speaking test. Today you are with me. I'm Nazli binti Muhammad Raslan and I'm from Kedah Matriculation College. Okay everyone, so let's talk about task 2, the part in the Muet test whereby it is the time for you to discuss in your group. So what is task 2 all about? First, you need to know task 2 is a group discussion with 4 candidates. We have candidate A, B, C, and D. And you will be given a topic with some points to discuss. You must work together in your group and you'll be given 3 minutes to prepare and between 8 to 12 minutes for you to discuss. So that is what task 2 is all about. Okay, next, let's move to what is your mission in order to fulfill task 2. So, as you know, in task 2, you were given a topic and also some points for you to discuss in your group. So, number 1, give your opinion clearly. Number 2, you need to respond to the other candidates politely and also confidently. Number 3, you need to support your opinion by having to give explanation, elaboration with some examples. And number 4, you need to work together, not to fight like you are debating who gets the last nasi lemak, right? So this is about a discussion, not a debate. All right, let's look at the question from the recorded video that you have watched. The question given is, what are the serious consequences of using social media? Points given are, number 1 is health, social life, finance, work performance, and last one is waste of time. Okay, now you may ask question, can you use other points that is not stated from the question? The answer is yes, you can. You may also add up your own point. Okay, now let's move on to how are you going to respond or how are you going to start your discussion. We start with the first presenter. It can be candidate A, it can be candidate B, C, or D to start first. So, in order for you to initiate the discussion, I will help you with a formula. So, for the first candidate, you need to use this formula, IP. So, I is to initiate your discussion. So, how are you going to initiate your discussion? For example, good morning again. Today, we are discussing on what are the serious consequences of using social media. So, that is how you initiate the discussion. All right, next, we move on to second one is P, which is point. You need to point out your idea clearly. Okay, let's say you're talking about physical health or mental health. So you may say, one serious consequence of using social media is poor physical and mental health, right? So you stated your point. Next, we move on to the next formula, which is E, which is explained. You need to explain and elaborate your point. For example, people stay up late scrolling and lose sleep, which causes tiredness and stress. It is because they love to scroll on their social media platform, such as TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram. Okay, now we move to the last part, which is example. You may say, for example, students who use TikTok until 2 a.m. in the morning feel sleepy and cannot focus in class. After the first candidate started, we move to the next candidate. For next candidate, you need to use this formula. Just now, you use the formula IP for the first candidate who initiate the discussion. But as for this, as the discussion goes on, you can use this formula, which is RP. So we start with respond. How are you going to respond to the first candidate or to the other candidate? First thing, you may agree or you may disagree politely. How are you going to agree? Number 1, you may say, that's a good point. I totally agree with you. Second, you may say, I see your point and I like to add that. Okay, so that is how are you going to agree politely. Next would be, how are you going to disagree? Nicely, and please don't be rude. You may say, I understand your view, but I have a different opinion. You may also say, that's interesting, but perhaps we should also consider. So that is how are you going to respond to the other candidates. When you respond, meaning that you are interact with the other candidate, you have to listen to the other candidate's point so that you are able to respond to their points. Next would be point. Just the same like the previous formula, you also need to state your point. So how are you going to start a strong or how are you going to state your point clearly? You may say, I think the most important factor is, or in this question, you may say, I think the most serious consequence of using social media is, or you can say, in my opinion, or from my point of view. So you continue with your point. Next would be explain, just the same like the one that we have discussed previously in the first formula. So how are you going to explain? So there are lots of ways on how to explain. One of it would be you add why you think so. So when you stated your point, ask yourself, why is it so? So you can explain it when you ask yourself why. Other than that, you can also have a comparison. So when you compare, meaning that you can explain. Next would be example. Example may be varied. One of the examples that you may use is you come up with your own experience, or might be from your reading, or might be from the statistic that you have read somewhere. So that is how example can be used in your presentation. How much time do we need for us to conclude? It's just like only like about a minute before you stop. So don't take too long for you to conclude your discussion. You may say, so can we agree that, or it seems we all think that, another way to say it, or let's conclude that the most serious consequence of having social media or using social media is what? Okay. Okay, there are a few tips on how to do your discussion. Okay, number one, listen actively. Don't just wait for your turn, but show you are listening by nodding, smiling, and also responding. So meaning that you are interacting with the other candidates. Okay. Number two would be polite and respectful. No interrupting or no cutting others mid-sentence. Okay, and then use polite expression. Okay, number three would be keep your tone friendly. Sound like you are having calm, intelligent chat and not to argue, right? Tip number four would be balance your speaking time. Don't dominate the discussion and let others speak too. So this is not speech. This is a discussion. So please let other candidates talk about their point as well. All right, tip number five will be work towards a group conclusion. So this we will see that you are having a teamwork, okay? So try to guide the discussion to one final answer. Okay, what are the common mistakes to avoid? Number one is talking too long. Remember, like I said earlier, this is a discussion, not a speech, okay? Number two would be reading your notes word for word. Okay, remember you need to have eye contact with the other candidates. So that means you are interacting with the other candidate. Do not look at your notes all the time. So it sounds like robotic, right? Okay, next would be you ignoring others. That shows that you have a poor teamwork. Um, Next common mistake will be being too quiet. You didn't say anything. Please, in this discussion, try to respond and also come up with your point, like the formula that I gave earlier. If you are going to be the first one to initiate the discussion, use IP. And let's say you are the next candidate who's going to discuss and respond, use the formula RP. Okay, please say something during the discussion. Do not be quiet. This is your mark. Your mark is basically based from your speaking. Next will be using slang or very casual words. Okay, keep it polite and academic. Okay, so that is a common mistake. Okay, now let's move on to tips on how to make examiner notice your point is well elaborated. Number one, use connectors. For example, apart from that, furthermore, besides that, however, therefore, as a result, hence. I'm sure you know how to use all these connectors, and each of these connectors will have a different function. Number two is sound confident. Use a clear voice and smile and make eye contact with the other candidates. So meaning that you are being interactive, okay? Next would be think smart and speak simple. Use short, clear sentences with some complex and also low frequency words. If you're able to do so, you're going to be a very good candidate. All right, and be flexible too. If someone has already said your point, don't repeat it. You may add a new reason or example for the next point. Okay, so remember 3C for a good discussion. Number one is clear. Speak with structure. Like we said earlier, use the structure. If you use this structure, you will be able to have a good discussion. So have a clear discussion by having to speak with structure. So this is the structure that you may use in your discussion. Number two would be being cooperative. You may also support others' ideas. That one is come under responding to the other candidate. And the last one would be confident. So have a calm voice and also natural tone. Okay, before we start this session, I would like to give you advice on how are you going to use this critical hour to practice for your speaking. All right, number one, you go through the past year questions. All right, you may also come up with your own notes, and then based on the category, like we have a lots of themes, for example, like health, environment, people, society, sports, finance, education, and also time management. So you come out with verbs and also sample point ideas on how are you going to tackle the question. Okay, I give you an example like health. You may write down your notes on might be mental stress, eye strain, sleep problems, or you can also come up with solution on how the government can help the healthcare and come up with the list of your ideas for that particular theme or category. You may also use this tip for other theme, like for example, like education and as well as sport. So when you have that question to be asked, you are able to come up with your own points. Okay. I think that's all for today. Thank you for listening, and I wish you all the best for your Muet speaking test.